Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
By talking here about how these domestic changes are influencing external behavior. And I just want to speak a little bit about India here. As I speak in the book, Beijing appears willing more than ever to play a greater role in global institutions, in taking a lead in mediating disputes, and I think most importantly in showing confidence and offering its model to the world. And in my view, I think it's going to exacerbate what I think is one of the key dilemmas in the India-China relationship, which is a fundamental difference in how both countries look at the other and their place in the world. India sees China as an equal. And make no mistake, I think that Chinese strategic thinkers resent that notion. And I think for many Chinese strategic thinkers, it is India's reluctance to acknowledge this power differential that is at the heart of many of the problems confronting the relationship. In the book, I make a case for why this is not new. I think for all the talk from the two governments being two old civilizations, I think that for more than 100 years, this has been a pretty prominent strand of Chinese thought. To illustrate this, go back to one episode, which is Rabindranath Tagore's 1924 visit, where of course he was very warmly welcomed by many, but he was also given a very hostile reception by some of China's leading intellectuals of the time. Mao Dun, the Chinese novelist, said, "We are determined not to welcome a person who loudly sings the praises of Eastern civilization, oppressed as we are by militarists from within the country and by imperialists from without." Chen Duxiu, who was a towering Chinese intellectual and co-founded the Communist Party, wrote that we must warn to not let our youth be Indianized, unless, that is, they want their coffins to lie in a land under the heel of a colonial power. So 100 years on, I think after this visit, the idea of India being a weak colonized power is something that I think still persists within the Chinese strategic community. If it was the British Empire then, and this image of Indians who policed the streets of Shanghai and were reviled for doing so. Today, I think, of course, India is seen in so many Chinese writings, rightly or wrongly, as a pawn of the US. And hence, for many Chinese strategists, I think the relationship with India is not something seen on its own merits, but viewed in the context of China's broader relationship with America, which is something I think that really has cropped up a lot in a lot of the analysis we've seen of the recent tensions on the boundary. And of course, disparaging India's global ambitions and highlighting this power differential has been an argument we've seen pretty much every day over the last few months from China's state media. So I think that over the last 3 decades, it's clear that I think both sides have done remarkably well in managing this relationship, cooperating and competing cooperating on issues like climate change, on trade. But I think much of this was predicated on some sense of a shared understanding of the world order, of a common desire for multipolarity and a greater voice for developing countries in global institutions. But I think the question for us to ask is, with China's changing view of the world, and this is a changing view that I think is accelerating under Xi Jinping, given his emphasis on ideology, his emphasis on nationalism, I think this logic is being diluted. And I think for many in India, this was typified by, I think, China's approach to the Belt and Road Initiative, which India opposed, which reinforced the perception of a country that was increasingly following just one maxim, which is, it is either my way or the highway.